Welcome to your Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast, hosted by B. Crutelli. This is a space for everyone to learn anything and everything related to healthy healing, including naturopathic medicine, music, dance, yoga, meditation, eco-fashion, mothering, and organic lifestyle choices. Topics for expanding universal consciousness. Come join me weekly as we delve in and begin this journey, sharing valuable content gathered over the past 3 decades, helping to support a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for joining me today. I am doing video with my glasses on because I have to read from my blog that I just wrote yesterday, and we're going to be talking about empathy. This is really based on human design, and many of you may have heard of human design. It has been around for a very, very, very long time. Jenna Zoe is one of the experts out there that she might have her own podcast. Actually, I believe she does. I've heard her on a couple of podcasts in the last couple of years. I will be speaking based on the information that I've learned from her, as well as many years. I first learned of human design back in probably 2003. I think it was about 2003, so over 20 years ago. And it was very fascinating. I had my chart done back then, but then I got busy with life and kids and my business at the time. And I just, didn't totally get into it, but I believed in it. And I knew people that were in my circle that were very into it. This isn't something that I'm like necessarily doing for other people, but I highly advocate getting your own chart done. I will put a link in the show notes, a couple of different links where you can get your chart done. It's just like getting your astrology chart done, although it's way, way more intensive, way more information. It has a bunch of different aspects all in one. So it's like astrology, I Ching, I don't even remember, but it's like astrology times 10. That's what I like to say. So do you feel like you are an empath, that you just have so many feelings, that it's like other people's energy is really hard for you to be around sometimes because you really feel other people's energy? It's hard for you to maybe go out in public or go to a party, or, you walk into a room and you're like, because we're all holding energy, right? We all have our aura and the things that we're dealing with. And I have really, I didn't know what this was all about until I really started getting into my human design the last couple of years. And I, of course, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Everything I read, just like when you learn about your astrology, you're like, oh yeah, I totally get that. That's who I am. And there's about half of us that have this empathy that's excess, that it's just who we are. And so this has been noticed by many in the last decade or more than ever. And why is this? And I'm just saying in the last decade because I feel like people are talking about it. I feel like I'm Mickey Mouse today when I put my hair up like this. It's because times are changing and many of us are discovering who we are. We want to know who we are spiritually. We want to be connected more with the universe. We want to be connected more with the earth. We know that we are more than just this body, and where are we going, and our purpose, and all of these things, right? So many of us are searching for that. And so that is awesome. We have to do that. We don't really have another choice because there's so many things that are broken, right, in our system and in our world. And so we have to evolve, and we have to be better, and we have to do better, and we have to know ourselves. And so human design will really help you when you read your chart and you read the different parts of your chart. You'll be like, oh, okay, what it does is it tells you who you are. It helps you to understand who you are. So it helps us to know what we're supposed to be doing so that we can do the best that we can do with our purpose and why we are here, and helps us to understand parts of ourselves and to make the best choices and actions on a daily. So it's very, very vital. It's free. You can find out your chart for free. I'll put a link in the show notes. So, well, going back to my blog that I wrote yesterday, maybe this is true that we are noticing this more, but also maybe the world is creating some of us to feel more deeply, just naturally, right? Because of all the fucking shit that's happening. And our true nature is empathy, I believe, for everybody, right? We all feel, we all have feelings. Our heart is really what's supposed to be leading us. We're supposed to be like feeling love and compassion and empathy. That all like comes from our heart, right? These loving feelings, and we all should be really listening to our heart, right? I say listen to your gut, that's your intuition, right? But your heart is love. And so we all have that as our true nature. We are a lost culture of feeling. We have been taught to not feel. We have been taught to hide our feelings until they eventually come out to play, right? Eventually, our feelings will come out to play. We have been taught to be stuck in our minds. Mind chatter pulls us away from empathy into fear, anger, doubt, and anxiousness and exhaustion, right? Because that's not really who we are. And so, again, many of us are trying to get out of our fucking minds. Literally, we're getting out of our minds. And so being mindful of our thoughts, coming back to our heart, our compassion, having more empathy. Today, our universe is asking us to feel more. She is calling on us to awaken. I feel this immensely as an empathic human being. So I'm one of those in the human design realm, supposedly about half of us in the universe, humans I'm speaking to. And I was like wondering, do animals have human design? We're just talking about human design, which is human, right? It's not an animalistic way. Although I know when I'm speaking about empathy, animals definitely have empathy too. We know that. We know that animals show us empathy, that they are empathetic beings. But human design, I believe, is just based on humans, although there could be somebody out there that's making an animal version. I don't know. But I'm tired of hiding my love for humanity. I feel like I've had like this shell on me for many years. You know, I was a young mom. I started being a mom like really, really young before I even knew myself. I barely knew who I wanted to be in the world. And when you're a mom, you're focused on your kids, right? And I didn't just have one, two, or three. I ended up having four in a period of 13 years. Okay. 13 years in to my motherhood, I had four kids. And so I had a huge focus on them. And yes, I'm an only child. So I was very self-focused myself, but I knew even as being an only child that I wanted to have kids. I always loved kids. I loved working with kids when I was a teenager. I knew I wanted to have kids someday because I was the only child and I was very lonely, and I saw my friends, you know, all having their siblings, and I was like, I want to have a brother or a sister, and I want to make sure that I don't just have one kid because I want my kids to have each other, right? And they do, and that brings me joy. It really does. So I'm ready to shine in the brightest way every day. This too is my work. And every part of living on this planet is a daily practice. That's why we have to be in the present moment, because it's a daily practice, just focusing on what we need to do in that moment. And we all have a choice in the present moment of how to live. Human design has been an amazing way for me to understand who I am. And I'm still learning. I delved into my books that I got a few years ago just so I could take some notes here to do this podcast and to write about it because I've been wanting to write about it for some time and I will write more about it in the future. This is just one aspect about empathetic individuals, people that feel more. And I'm going to get into all of that a little bit more. So when you look up your chart, you will see if you are this type of person. So why am I here? Why are you here? Who are you really? Who am I? We all come into this realization at some point, reflection into the so-called dark night of the soul. Have you ever had a dark night of the soul? I've had quite a few. Okay. So evidently this can happen many times over our lifetime if you accept that changes help us to grow. Now I can see how many times that this is unfolded in my own life, leading me on another path forward. Sometimes this is where we can get stuck in fear because change isn't always easy and we have to be ready and feel strong enough to move forward. So I'm not going to get into the whole dark night of the soul, but that's basically when hell's breaking loose in your life. All shit is like crashing down. Like you just feel like you're all alone. You feel like so many things are changing at once, and they are. And it's because the universe is like, okay, we need to shift things up. We need to really shake it up. And you need to feel, it's okay to feel like so-called negative feelings, right? They're natural feelings. We may get sad, of course, anxiety, sadness, despair, just feeling lost, right? And that is really a time to go within. It's a time to listen to what's next. Where are you being led? And this goes into your human design too, of, what you're supposed to do in those times and figuring out who you are and the type of person you are so you know what path and the choices that you're supposed to make during certain times of your life. And we are all living out our highest expression of the energies of our design. The magic of life will unfold naturally when we are living out the highest expression of the energies of our design. The magic of life will unfold naturally. I am an emotionally driven woman. Half of all humans, like I said, carry this energy, the energy of embodying a defined emotional solar plexus. So when your solar plexus is defined in your human design chart, which means it's like colored, shaded in, then that means that you carry emotional energy all the fucking time. This may sound like, OMG, keep me away from those crazy mofos, right? But we are everywhere, okay? Like 1 in 2 people, every other person is carrying that. So that's why you may be one of those people, or you may feel those people. They're more emotional, right? It's not just, women when they're going through their moon cycles or when they're in menopause or perimenopause and your hormones are flexing. It can be all the fucking time. Okay. So the key is to stop judging our emotions like they are our enemies. Embracing the feels with breathing practices, meditation, journaling, spending time alone. Because when you spend time alone, you can really hear, right? You can hear the universe speaking to you when you let yourself get quiet. And you're not getting advice or noise from the outside world, okay? but really listening inside, spending that time alone, spending that time alone in nature is even better. Grounding with the earth, sound healing through various types of music, feeling where the pain is, where the discomfort is in your body. That is huge, because when energies get stuck, they're going to go to a certain part of the body. Maybe it's a weak part of the body. Maybe it's somewhere that is a weak point where you may have had an injury, or there's just stuck energy there for some reason. It doesn't fucking matter. It's just feeling where that energy is that's stuck, where the discomfort is. Like if you're in meditation, if you're in still mode, if you're going within to listen and you feel, oh, like, what is this? Like, what is this? This doesn't feel good right here. Or, like I've had a lot of stuff in my back and my shoulders and sometimes my neck, but that can be released. I am working on the knowing of the trusting that that too can be released. That is not something that we always have to live with. Okay. I believe that we have been told by doctors and various people in our lives that we will always be this way. If we get a disease, if we have chronic pain, it's like, oh, that's just something you're going to have to live with, and you just need to do this, take this medication, or, just learn to live with it. No, I don't believe that that's true. It may be work. It may be work because maybe it's been there for a long time. Maybe we've just been ignoring it and we've just been like stuffing it down. But I truly believe that we can all heal 100%. Okay, that doesn't mean when we get older that, yeah, our bodies are going to be breaking down. Yes, they're not going to be the same as they were when they were 20. But there are still things that we can do to help our bodies to be healthier and to live your best life. We just may need to work a little bit harder as we get older at it. Okay. And yes, accepting that, okay, maybe this isn't going to feel the same as it did. Okay, we have injuries, we have things we need to deal with. But I do believe there are people out there in the world, I've seen it, that if their mind is strong enough to feel, if they can get control of their minds enough, and this is for anybody, including myself, because I have a ton of work to do, that you can get clarity into what's going on in your body. You've heard of people, okay, just take this for example. You've heard of people healing themselves from cancer, right? Not going the conventional route, not doing the chemo, but doing alternative therapies. And this is what I'm speaking about. Okay. Of course, you're going to need to take care of your temple with good foods. There could be supplements you can take, of course. But we're talking about getting control of your mind state and going within and visualizing what you want for your body, what you want for your future, how you want to live, right? Okay. I'm not going to go off on my tangent anymore on that. That's a whole nother thing about healing. And the body has the potential to heal itself. We were given these bodies that have an innate sense of knowing how to heal. They just need the right tools. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. So visualizing release, okay? Visualizing release of that stuck energy, of that pain. That is a huge tool if you have pain or discomfort in your body, is doing some visualization practices. Asking with loving gratitude for help. Okay, that's like in prayer. Asking the universe for loving gratitude. Okay. Giving thanks for all the things that you do have, because we can think of many things that we can be grateful for that have happened in our lives, that are happening right now, that in this moment that we can be grateful for just for being here, right? We're still here. we're still having an opportunity in this game of life to walk the path, to make choices, to live however we want to live. I mean, just having that free will to be here and live, many of us don't have that. They're already gone, right? They were here, maybe they left us yesterday. Okay? And we have a choice to be here, to be grateful, to ask the universe for help. And there are many different practices in how we can do that as well. So time is changing right now rapidly as we know it. I feel this more and more, and I know you do too. Over a third of the population are the generator types. So in human design, I believe there's 3 different types. Maybe 4. I think there's 3. But I'm a generator, and a third of the people are generators. And then I think it's like half of the people or over half of the people are manifesting generators, and then there's projectors. So I think those are the 3 types. So, which is why I'm writing about this, to hopefully expand this awareness and connect with others to feel that also feel deeply. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, who else out there is like me, is feeling like this? Because I know y'all are out there. And this is the first time I've kind of like spoken about this. And I wanted to start like a group or something to, which I also, and maybe there already is, I haven't really looked into it. I don't want to say a Facebook group because I try not to support the, big conglomerates like that, but we all do go on there. Most of us are still going on there for one reason or another. I don't do it daily, but, they have all those groups on. I actually did try to start a group on there before. I don't think it had to do with this directly. It was some other kind of group. And I was like, okay, I think I did this, but like, how do I really get this group going? It was, I know a lot of people have tried to do that, and some groups are quite small because I think it's so big, like I said, that it can be hard to find a specific group. And maybe it's just using the tag words and all that stuff, and it just takes time to build. But anyways, do you feel your emotions come in like waves in the ocean, waves in the river? Like they're just like always changing. When melancholic feelings set in, we know melancholy is like when we're just like feeling like really down and it's just like we just had enough. Honor yourself with loving kindness. This is a time to just love yourself. Give yourself a hug. This sense of self can feel like you are falling into depression, despair, and loss. And maybe you have lost everything. Maybe you feel like there's nothing left. That is a time the universe is telling you to start the fuck over. It's time to reset, start again, shed that shit that didn't serve you. It's gone for a reason, right? Don't try to hold on or cling on to it because that's not going to help anything. We have, and I'm saying this, just take it from me because I've been there, I've done that too many times. We have a lot of judgment in our society to not feel any way that feels negative, like, oh, I'm depressed, or oh, I feel anxious, or oh, like, anytime is like angry, like, oh, I can't feel that way. And I have to do something about it. Feeling sadness can actually be turned into sacred connection. It can be a time to be really vulnerable and humbling, a time of like maybe connecting with someone else that really loves you and is there and listening to you, that really has empathy for you and what you're going through. That can be great if you have that person in your life. But if you don't, the universe is there for you. God, Jah, she's there. She's there for you. Okay. And when you connect with this, with yourself, with your deeper inner sense of being, you will connect with your highest self and with the universe, where you came from, and you will find answers. I've done it before. Miracles have happened in my life when I've done that. So I know it works. And feeling sadness can also be an amazing time to be creative. Your creativity can shine like never before. Okay, however you want to create, use that energy. You can shift it into something great. Melancholy all allows us to evaluate an issue from many different emotional perspectives. So at that time, we are actually able to get a lot of different perspectives. If we go in and we listen and we journal or we create something, we will get insights. It's not all bad. Honoring thyself with nurturing self-love will help to heal any situation into growth. I'm going to say that again. Honoring thyself with nurturing self-love will help to heal any situation for growth. So any situation that you're in, honoring yourself with what you're going through, it's all fucking natural. And nurturing yourself with some self-loving care will help for you to heal and to grow. Waiting to respond, this is huge. Waiting to respond is the ultimate force for obtaining emotional clarity. This is something I learned in human design. When you wait to respond, not just to react, which many of us want to do, and I've done way too many times. I don't wait to respond, maybe wait a day. Sometimes it could be longer, but even just waiting overnight, sometimes you can get that clarity to make the right emotional decision. Waiting for the right emotional state to come over you before taking action on any decision will keep us from making rash or wrong choices and regretting them later on. And that's especially true for generators. Okay, so I believe it's true for manifesting generators too, most of us want to do this, but especially if you're a generator. I know I'm a generator, and then there's some manifesting generator types out there as well. And then there's a few projectors. The projectors are I think even less of a type. I don't want to say less than, they're less common than even just the generator type. And then the manifesting generators are the most common type, I believe. So when we wait to respond is when we listen to our intuition from a place of calm. Right? And if you are an emotionally defined empath like myself, when you look up your chart, how are you dealing with life? Like right now, currently, we all have our unique emotional rhythms. We all have our unique path forward. And understanding your own emotional patterns will help you in making healthy, sustainable decisions and having awareness around how much time you need to get emotional clarity with the issues that arise. So it's just about getting to know yourself, right? And that's what this is all about. And here is an affirmation from my book, not from Jenna Zoe, but another Understanding Human Design book that I have from Karen Curry Parker. It looks like this. She's got some affirmations in there. And this one is for all you generators that have emotionally defined centers. I am here to be emotionally deliberate with every choice I make. That is the affirmation to live by, to make sure that you are calm when you make your decisions, to make sure that you are feeling, this is another thing for me because of the type I am, which you might be a little bit different when you look up your type, but I'm a 2/4, and that means that I really need to wait to respond. And if I respond too quickly, I will probably just end up getting frustrated because I will end up making the wrong decision. And then I'll be in a place where I'm just like hitting a wall, and it just feels just frustrating every time I try to do anything because I probably made the wrong decision. So waiting to respond and then listening to your gut, to your intuition of where to go next, of what to do next. It's super, super crucial. And otherwise, like myself, you may be just, taking a little bit longer to get to where you want to in life. And that's okay. We're all on a unique path. There's no right or wrong. But I know for myself, if I would have known this stuff, or maybe 23 years ago when I first learned my chart, really like looked into it then if I had the time, which I did not. But if I did, fuck, man, I would have like really probably made so many different decisions in the last 20 years. I would have, really been like knowing and seeing signs more clearly. And I could be in a totally different place right now, but I am where I am and I am who I am. And I give thanks every day. And I trust. That is one thing that I'm really wanting to advocate more, is just to trust. There's so many things around that and so many ways that we can do that. But trusting in the process, because you are blessed. We are all blessed. And I know it's really hard to see when we see people just struggling out there. We're all on a different path, okay? And we all have choices, and we all started out with different realities. And so I know that that's, a huge part of the process, and where we came, who we came here with, who our parents were, where we, ended up on the planet when we landed here. There's so many factors. And I know it's a lot to unravel and to understand. And all we can do is the best that we can do. And to be here for one another and to help support one another through this long, strange trip that it is. Thank you for being here. Please look at the show notes. I'll have some tips in there. I'll have some links in there. And if you could please drop a 5-star review, I would greatly appreciate it. This podcast will grow. I have faith that it will. It is slowly growing, but I'm going on a year next week. Will be my year anniversary of starting this podcast. And I do want to reach more people. And so the more reviews, the more shares are greatly appreciated. And I will keep this going as long as possible. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week ahead. Thank you all so very much for listening today. I genuinely hope that you learned something, and I invite you to join me each week so you never miss a conscious wellness beat. This podcast holds a special place in my heart dedicated to my evolution here, my passionate mission to spread more consciousness for the much needed wellness on Earth. Come join me as a guest as well. Let's collaborate, making change for future generations.